Order. Order. Question number 3, Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question... Microphone doesn't seem to be working.
Order. Let's try and I'll confirm that it's working. Julianne Genter, question number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Development.
Order. It is... Order. I don't need the assistance. It is not working. Can we try once more? Otherwise, I'll ask the member to swap seats with Kevin Hay. Try this one.
Can I try this one? I'll try this one.
Question number 3, Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You're silencing the Greens.
Order. 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 If the member is given the courtesy of silence in the House, I am sure her voice will be heard. I will be very upset if anybody interjects during the reading of this question. Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Economic Development and asks, why is the government holding up economic development in Auckland CBD, according to Auckland City officials, by delaying the opening of the City Rail Link until 2025?
Honourable, yes, that particular member certainly has to be quiet for that. Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, the government is not holding up economic development in the Auckland CBD, and we're certainly not delaying the opening of the CRL. In fact, if anything, we've accelerated it.
Order. Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Is the Minister then disagreeing with Prime Minister John Key when he said that Auckland Mayor Len Brown had a, quote, fair point, that private investment is being held up by the delay to the City Rail Link?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister, as I understand it, said that it was fair to have a look at the matters that the Mayor had raised, but I think he also said that nothing had changed at this time.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Is the Minister denying that there is at least $1 billion of private investment planned along the route of the City Rail Link, and those investments will be held up until the final design of the City Rail Link is set and investors know when it's going to be open?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, they do now know when it's going to be open. The second point is I have some doubt as to which projects the member is referring to, and it would be helpful if she mentioned them. I've had it raised with me, for example, that the convention centre might be one of those projects. Really? Yes, and I appreciate the member's concern that it may not be built on time, although I think that demonstrates certain flexible principles on behalf of the Green Party if they're now asking to accelerate the convention centre rather than stop it.
Point of order.
Point of order, Julianne Genter.
For the benefit of the Minister, I seek leave to table a list of developments, 6 major developments, not including the Convention Centre, that are along the route. And I would note for the Minister that...
Thank you. I will put the leave is sought to table that particular list of developments that are proposed. Is there any objection to that being tabled? I've neglected to ask the source of the document.
The Auckland City Council. There are developments that have sought consent.
Order. It's
a list from
Auckland City document. Is there any objection to it being tabled? There is none. It can be tabled.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Julianne Genter.
Has the Minister sought any advice on the impact to Auckland's economic development of the later construction date of the City Rail Link? If so, did that advice confirm Auckland Council's finding that delaying the City Rail Link will inflate construction costs by $500 million?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member should address issues in relation to the actual construction of the CRL to my colleague, the eminent Mr. Brownlee. In relation to private sector developments, I think we do have to test that, because one of the developments I understand, and I haven't yet had the opportunity to read the member's list, it relates to a project where I've met the representatives of the developer, and at no time have they raised concerns about any timetabling of the CRL, and in fact that they were quite comfortable the constraints were in fact planning constraints, not the CRL constraints.
Point of order.
Point of order, Julianne Genter.
Mr. Speaker, I asked the question, has he sought any advice on the impact to economic development?
Well, the member did raise that and also added a second question about potential cost increase of $500 million, and the Minister clearly asked by saying it's not within his portfolio. It needs to be addressed to Mr Brownlee. The question has been addressed.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Julie Ann Genter.
Hasn't the government set up a catch-22 situation where it has said that it won't fund the City Rail Link until arbitrary job and rail patronage targets have been met, even though it's clear that the City Rail Link is the best way to increase jobs and rail use in Auckland?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, the member makes a very interesting point in which she says that the construction of certain transport projects might hasten development and economic growth in the country. Weirdly, though, it seems to be the only project that will do that, and that the Basin Reserve flyover, the transmission gully, the Puhoi to Warkworth Road, the Tauranga bypass and so on are all very bad ideas, but weirdly the Central Rail Loop will accelerate development. I think the member is showing certain rose-tinted spectacles for just one project.
Question number...
Supplementary?
Supplementary question, Julie Ann Genter.
Does the Minister really believe that there will be greater economic development benefits from saving a few minutes for tens of thousands of vehicles? Or does he believe that there will be greater economic benefit to allowing hundreds of thousands of Aucklanders to use rail to access the city centre, save money on petrol and vehicles, and by allowing those Aucklanders to use the rail network, he actually frees up the roads for those who need to use them? Isn't it obvious that that's a better use of investment?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, I might be weird, but I actually think saving time for, as the member puts it, tens of thousands of people and vehicles may in fact be a good idea to do on an everyday basis. But I think we have a very interesting and straightforward process for determining the relative merits of particular projects, and they're called BCRs. And the members often speaks a lot about BCRs in terms of how they are relative to each other. But I note no matter which project you use, unfortunately at this time a CRL comes out at a lower BCR than all the road projects that the member criticises, and therefore it needs to be considered for the right time. I am absolutely confident on the evidence that I have seen to date that the CRL timetable, which is brought forward by this government, is not holding up economic development in our biggest city.
Supplementary question.
Supplementary question, Julie Ann Genter.
Does the government actually have a commitment to build the City Rail Link? And if so, why has it not allocated a single cent to the project in any of its 3 long-term transport spending plans? Why did the Transport Minister tell me in written questions that the government will not be updating these documents to reflect its supposed commitment to the City Rail Link?
Honourable Stephen Joyce, any of those questions?
Well, I think, Mr Speaker, the member may note that to my left, the Transport Minister, Mr Brownlee, is available to answer any questions in relation to timing at any time. And in fact, I think he's slightly miffed that you didn't ask him the question today. But, Mr Speaker, I think the reality of it is that this government has committed to the project. The member is trying to seek to bring the project forward, which she can if she likes, but to suggest that we're delaying it is simply incorrect.
Order.
Point of order, Julie Ann Genter.
For the benefit of the Minister, I'd like to table the City Centre Future Access Study, which shows that by 2021, bus networks will be at capacity, the rail network will be at capacity, and traffic will be slowed to a halt in Auckland.
The document's been quite satisfactorily described. I now just need the source of the document.
It was a report written by Sinclair Knight Mertz for Auckland Council and for...
Order. On the basis that it may not be readily available for members, I will put... Order. I will put the leave. It's then for members to decide. Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Question number 4, Alfred Nardo.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister.